How to price a home for sale is a very important question, and making a mistake here can cost you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. Now you might be asking, well, can't I just go to Zillow, Realtor.com, or some other website to find out the value of my home? Well, you could, but slow down here. There's a lot of money at stake, so let's look at the bigger picture. I'm Chuck Shaver, and I'm a local realtor here up on the north side of Orlando, and I've been one of the top listing agents here in the area for many years as I work almost exclusively with those helping to sell their homes. Today, I'll be providing 7 tips to consider, and then towards the end of this video, I'll be sharing one tip that can literally save you thousands or tens of thousands of dollars, so be sure to stick around for that one. The very first tip to consider is your objective. Now this one might seem obvious or even boring, but stick with me because it really matters. Do you need to sell quickly? Maybe you're purchasing a home that is contingent upon this home's sale. Maybe it's an estate situation and there is no rush whatsoever. Just the other day, I met with a seller that was desperate to get out of her home, and I practically begged her not to just give it away. She was driven by her emotions and she wasn't thinking clearly. She had an investor that was about to take her for a ride. Fortunately, she eventually made a rational decision, and I was able to help her with, well, let's just say a less conventional option that worked for her particular situation. Just about every seller that I meet with tells me that they need the money, but it doesn't really matter whether they need the money or not. Whether they use their children's college savings to buy it or they won it in a poker match, it doesn't really matter. A home is worth what it's worth in the current real estate market. If you need to sell, then you may need to be more aggressive with pricing it so that you'll get a buyer sooner rather than later. I'll have more on this subject in a bit. Tip number 2 when determining how to price a home for sale is to avoid pressing the easy button. Now, most people thinking of selling their home thinking they can simply just call a realtor and hope for the best. But what if you don't have a personal relationship or confidence in that realtor's expertise? Maybe they weren't personally recommended, or maybe it just didn't feel right. Maybe you're thinking of trying to sell your home without a realtor. Well, of course, this is a riskier option, but it's a viable option nonetheless. This is where so many home sellers simply turn to some crazy website like Zillow or Realtor.com or any of the other dozens of them. Many of them are based in California or who knows, Indonesia or something like that, but they're usually not here in Central Florida where I work and sell homes. Although they rely on computer data and some algorithm, a computer simply should not be trusted to determine the value of your home. I know of many neighborhoods that change drastically from one street to the next, and I'm betting that you do too. Using some website to determine the value of your home is akin to putting on a blindfold, spinning around and throwing a dart, and hoping to hit the spot. Well, you're likely to hit the wall, but it's really not good enough for me if I've got thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line. Tip number 3 is to avoid overvaluing features or upgrades in your home. Now, I understand that you might have just spent $70,000 on that beautiful swimming pool, but you're very likely never going to get that money back when you sell your home. A buyer or an appraiser might give just 15 or 20 grand through supply and demand for that pool. That upgraded kitchen that you spent 75 grand on, well, I certainly hope you enjoyed cooking in it, because it's unlikely that you're ever going to get all that money back. I understand that you spent days painting the tray ceilings in the primary bedroom suite, when Junior slept in his crib nearby many years ago with the most expensive paint in the world, and that your memories, your sweat, and your tears are all throughout that beautiful home. But those things have much less value to a buyer than they do to you. Before I get to one of the most important tips when pricing a home for sale, if you'd like to know the value of your home anywhere here in Central Florida, either put a comment in the comment sections down below or simply give me a call. Of course, my team and I help buyers as well. Tip number 4 is to remember that determining the value of your home is a business decision. Most buyers don't value your memories. You might appreciate the value of hundreds of beautiful bromeliads and their beautiful colors that cover the backyard, but someone else may just consider them a curse and they may just pull them out like weeds and discard them. That expensive paint I spoke of earlier, well, a potential buyer might hate it and they might just paint right over it with cheap Walmart paint. Be objective here. Have someone that is willing to look you square in the eye and tell you what they think of your home without fear of reprisal. Come by and share some honest advice. Maybe you don't think there's a dog smell, but maybe that's because you've always had dogs and that you've lived with it for many years. Put yourself in a potential buyer's shoes that's never owned a pet. It might be an issue for them, and failing to recognize this could be costly when determining how to price a home for sale. Pay attention to the data. There are usually nearby homes that will provide an indication of what your home will be worth, and sometimes sellers, based on emotion, ignore this data. Ask your realtor for data that will point to what your home is actually worth and not what you want the value to be. Things like upgrades and major features sometimes impact the value, as do other factors like datedness, deferred maintenance, and old roofs, which can also impact the value of your home if buyers cannot get financing due to one of these factors. Tip number 5 is to avoid underpricing your home. Now this seems pretty obvious, but there's more to this one. I've heard it said that if I underprice a home that I can create a bidding war and could end up getting more for it. While that's possible, so is winning big with a Powerball ticket. It's a risky endeavor, and if that perfect buyer does not walk through the door and in short order, you could end up in a very bad situation. Maybe you do get a buyer and then that deal falls apart, maybe from inspections or their financing, maybe it falls through. What then? Well, now you're likely going to have buyers being suspicious of what's wrong with that home. They may be thinking that if it didn't sell at this price, well, there's got to be something wrong. Then you're dealing with a damaged goods situation, and that's just never a good place to be. This one is really market dependent and can be less damaging in a seller's market than in a buyer's market. If I were considering this, I would definitely be asking my realtor about if, and that's a big if, it's a good idea and a good situation for me and my situation. Before I get to the trap that so many sellers waste thousands of dollars on when pricing a home for sale, if you're finding value here, support this channel by simply hitting the like and the subscribe buttons down below, and click that little notification bell so that you'll be notified whenever I post other videos just like this. Tip number 6 is to not forget the reason you decided to sell your home in the first place. Maybe you're downsizing because you don't need those 4 bedrooms anymore, or maybe your financial picture has changed and you just can't afford this home. Maybe you're tired of the rental headaches or just want to move to Florida for some sunshine or a better lifestyle. There are probably 1,000 reasons people sell their homes. Tip number 7 that I'll be coming to in a minute is going to take this one a step further, but the process of selling your home can be stressful and it's wrought with all sorts of risks, so be sure you have the right realtor and make sure you don't lose focus of the reason you priced your home to sell in the first place. Tip number 7. Although there are many components to it, the single most important tip when determining how to price a home for sale is to avoid overpricing your home. This is one that I see more than any other, and it's the one that I see costing sellers thousands of dollars all the time. The issue is often really the consequence of sellers not looking at their home from an objective perspective. See tip number 4. I hear home sellers say all the time that, well, I can always come down and I'm not in a hurry. But home sellers often fail to consider the carrying costs of that home. Let's say that the home is vacant and the utilities of a vacant home are still a couple $100. Taxes may be $500 or $600 a month. Well, insurance, there's another $300 a month. Homeowner association dues could be a couple $100 too. Then there's maintenance, that fence that needs painted, the pool pump, the lawn maintenance, and all that. This is lost money, and each and every month that a vacant home sits on the market is lost money. As I record this today, I'm working with a seller of a vacant home that has carrying costs of probably $2,000 a month, but he doesn't want to lower his price because he doesn't want to lose money. He's neglecting the fact that every month his home sits on the market, he's bleeding $2,000. Now maybe your home isn't vacant, but there are still expenses that you're incurring while attempting to sell your home for whatever reason that was back in tip number 6. If you want to get the most from your home, price it properly as soon as it hits the market, as doing this will provide a higher net selling price. This is the single most important tip that I share when helping sellers price their home for sale in an effort to get them top dollar for their home. Another consequence of overpricing a home for sale is that buyers are well aware of homes that have been sitting on the market. Do you think a potential buyer is going to feel the need to act quickly and to make a strong offer on your home if it's been sitting on the market for an extended period of time? I can tell you from years of experience, they don't. So yes, you can always lower the price of your home, but don't forget that there could be a consequence of waiting too long to do so. In a seller's market, sellers are often punished when their homes sit on the market for a while. Home sellers sometimes forget that there are buyers waiting for your home before it even comes to the market. So pricing your home above the market value will send them packing, still searching for the right home in their price range. To sell your home for top dollar, a seller should want a buyer to have the fear of missing out. And that just doesn't happen when a home has been sitting on the market for, 20 or 30 days. By this time, buyers are well aware that nobody else has wanted the home, and they often question if they do either. Maybe you've dropped the price of your home significantly and it's now priced aggressively, but potential buyers are not always aware that you've significantly dropped the price. When you put your home on the market, pay attention to what's happening. If potential buyers aren't coming to your home, ask yourself why. Is my home being marketed on a local multiple listing service? Is professional photography and drone footage being used? What about video, social media? I could go on and on here. The point is that you need to know why potential buyers aren't coming through the door. In our current real estate market, as I record this today, we're in a seller's market. And if we don't have activity in the first 4 or 5 days, it's obvious to me that something is wrong. I then reach out to my customers and try to help them understand the consequences. Sometimes they get it, and sometimes they don't. In the current market, as I record this today, it's pretty clear that the longer a home sits on the market, the lower the selling price usually is. It's a cold, hard fact, and it saddens me when I'm unable to help some of my sellers understand because I'm sometimes just sitting there watching them throw their money away. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon.